Now we'll create the Hungry cover. Since it's a front cover, we'll create bleed limits at the top, bottom and on the right. We'll make the background in Photoshop by merging various photos together. Logos and icons will be made in Corel. Text and the orange figure will also be made in Corel, and the figure's inner shadow will be made in Photoshop. This is what the logo looks like. We'll start with creating a new document. But one more thing before we do that. If you want, you can open the reference file. Go to File menu, click Open, and then open file called 22_p. Go to File menu and click on New. Change the page orientation to Portrait. Set the colour to CMYK and resolution to 300 dpi and click OK. Go to View menu, then Setup and click on Guideline Setup. Go to Presets section. Activate the page borders preset and click OK. Go to View menu and then Snap to and then click Snap to Guidelines. The first element that we'll make is this orange figure and text placed on path. Switch to Rectangle tool and draw a rectangle. Select the new rectangle, then convert it to curves. Switch to the Shape tool and move the top right node up here. Now select all nodes. Click on the Convert to Curve icon. Select this line segment and drag it towards the right edge of the page. Do the same thing with this line segment. To edit this curve, select a node and drag it somewhere in the direction line handles. This way we're able to work with the shape of our figure. So the first element is ready. We've made it with Rectangle and Shape tools. Although our figure is complicated, it has only 4 nodes. Switch to the Bezier tool. We already know how to make a line or figure with the Bezier tool. We just click once to create a node which will be connected with the previous point with a straight line. But we can also make curves with this tool. Switch to the Bezier tool, click on an empty space, hold the mouse button and move your cursor. Now make a second node, hold the mouse button and move your cursor. This way we can make curves instead of straight lines. We'll use this technique to create a path for our text. Switch to Bezier tool, click on an empty space, hold the mouse button and move your cursor. Don't move your cursor too far. It's better if we place the direction line handles closer to the node. Create a second point in the same way that we created the first one, but we can bend these straight lines. Switch to the Shape tool. Select both nodes and click on Convert to Curve icon. Now we can easily bend this line segment. To edit this line, just drag the direction line handles or the line itself. Let's try the same thing with the first line. Select both nodes, click on the Convert to Curve icon and modify the line. So we can edit like this or create curves with the Bezier tool. Let's talk about placing the text on path. It's best to have separate paths for our text. In most cases, it's just easier and less problematic than to place the text on the figure. In this pen tool icon menu, there are even more interesting tools. Let's talk about the pen tool. Try to create a figure with this tool. We can either just click once to create a node, or hold the mouse button and move the cursor to bend the line. Click twice or press Escape to exit editing this path. Now we can create a new path. This way we can avoid switching between white cursor and the pen tool every time we want to create a new path. So we can also use the pen tool to create these two paths for our text. Let's now talk about 3-point curve tool. These tools aren't that hard to learn and understand. You just need to use them. Select the polyline tool. What's the difference about this tool is that we can use it like a pencil tool. Just hold your mouse button and draw a doodle. Now we can go back to creating straight lines again. Click twice to stop this editing path. Now we can close this path. Click on the auto close curve icon. If it doesn't close itself, it means that we need to first switch to white cursor. Switch to white cursor and click on the auto close curve icon. So this group of tools consists of freehand, 2-point line, Bezier, artistic media pen, B-spline, polyline and 3-point curve tools. As you probably remember, we've already talked about artistic media tool. As you can see, those tools are pretty easy to use and, at the same time, really helpful. It's up to us which tools we'll use. I'm using freehand, 2-point line, Bezier, artistic media and polyline most of the time. I'm not using the rest of these tools. Of course, this doesn't mean that they're useless. Switch to freehand tool. We can use this tool like a pencil and draw whatever line we want. Once we release the mouse button, the figures we created will automatically be selected. Now we can just start creating another line. Let's now try to use this tool a little bit differently. Click once, move your cursor and click again. As you can see, we've created a line segment. Try to do the same thing, but this time hold Control. This way we can create a nice straight line. So this is how the freehand tool works. Let's go back to our project. We've already created two paths for our text. Now switch to the text tool. Move your cursor over the path. When the cursor will change into an A with a waved line, this means that we create the text on its path. Click on the path once. Now we can just input our text. Write Hungary 2012. Switch to white cursor and click on a side to deselect the text. Remember how we can select the text on the path. When we click once, both the text and the path will be selected. So when we scale this path, we scale both the path and the text. To move this text, we just drag the little red square. Now we click on the text for a second time. As you can see, we've now selected only the text. We can now scale and edit it. We can change its placement on the path by changing these two values. From this drop-down list, we can choose one of the ready-made presets. So we can change many of the text features by just experimenting with the options placed on the property bar. Make the text bold. Let's now switch to Shape tool and select the path. When we now modify this path, the text will automatically fit the new shape of the path. That's why it's better to place the text on a separate path. This way we can just modify the path and not the figure. So, as I've said before, it's best to create separate paths for our text. Click on the path and click for a second time on the text. Upscale the text proportionally by dragging one of the corner transformation points. If the letters are cramped on one end, we can do two things. We can just move the text or upscale the path. We'll now create a text for a second path. Select the text tool and move your cursor over the second path. Wait for the cursor to change into an A with a waved line and click once on the path. Write www.vital.com. It's the address of the company that wanted us to make this catalogue cover. Switch to white cursor, scale and position the text. Right here there are mirror text icons. There are 4 possibilities of text placement when we use these icons. Click on the mirror text vertically twice. Click on the mirror text horizontally and again click twice on the mirror text vertically. Switch to Shape tool and create the shape of our path. Press Shift and F4. We won't delete these paths. To make them invisible, we can delete their outline. Select the path, go to Outline Pen tool and click on No Outline. Although we can't see this path, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. When you switch to wireframe view in this mode, we can easily see the path. Select it and modify it and switch back to normal view. Of course, we can also select these paths in normal view mode. We just need to find them. Select this figure and change its colour to orange. We can also change this colour by modifying the CMYK colour values. So our colour in CMYK code is 06010. We can select this colour again when we input these numbers into CMKY values section. Select the orange figure and delete its outline. To do that, click with the right mouse button on the first icon in the colour palette. Now we'll make the logo. We'll start by making the sun figure. We already know all techniques used for this element, so it should be pretty easy. Switch to the ellipse tool, hold Ctrl and draw a proportional circle. Let's change its position to values that we can easily remember. Set the X value to 2 and the Y value to 5 inches. Now we'll change the size of this circle. Make sure that the proportions lock is active and change the width to 2 inches. Since the proportion lock was active, both the width and the height have changed to the same value. Let's set an outline to our figure. Expand this drop-down list and set the outline to 0.176 millimeters. Let's talk about units. Here we have inches and here we have millimeters. Why the 2 different unit types? This outline option here is just a shortcut for the whole outline pen option. Let's now learn how to change the outline units. Go to Outline Pen Tool icon menu and click on Outline Pen Tool. Expand this drop-down list, select inches and click OK. As you can see, the unit type changed in this drop-down list. So that's how we can change the type of units for the Outline Pen tool. We can either change one of the values or input it on our own. Let's change the outline to 0.2 inches. Well, let's change it to 0.15 inches. Switch to the ellipse tool and draw a circle at the top of the circle. We'll make rays from this circle. Select the figure and convert it to curves. Select the circle, switch to wireframe view. This way it'll be easier for us to edit our shape. Switch to the Shape tool and modify the shape of the circle. Let's delete these 2 nodes. Now add 1 node on the right line segment. Select the top node and change it to a symmetrical node. Well, cusp node will be better. Work on the ray until you decide that it looks good. Now we'll convert the outline of the bigger circle to a standalone figure. Select the circle, go to Arrange menu and click on Convert Outline to Object. Position this ray like this. It should be overlapping with the hoop we've just created. As you remember, we've set an easy to remember X and Y position values. Switch back to normal view. Select the ray figure and change its Y value to 2 inches and press enter. Go to Arrange menu, then Transformations and click on Rotate. We now know what the Y position for both values is. Change the Y value to 5 inches and change the rotation values to 30 degrees. Click Apply several times to copy the figure and make it wrap around the hoop. If we know the exact amount of copies we need, we could just change it and the copies value and create them all at once. Press Ctrl Z several times. We'll now try to change the amount of rays around the hoop. Change the rotation value to 15 degrees and click Apply. 360 by 15 is 24. That's the amount of elements we need to create, but we already have one element. Change the copies value to 23 and click Apply. This way we've created all elements at once. But most of the time we don't have time to make such calculations, so we'll just leave the copies at 1 and click on the Apply button several times. Select all figures and click on the weld icon. Change the colour of the sun figure to orange. Downscale this figure so the first element of the logo is now ready. Now we'll make the vital text. Switch to Text tool. Click once in an empty space and write Vital. Select the text and convert it to curves. Well, let's upscale it and write the vital text with caps lock. Select the text, delete it, press caps lock and write it. Select the text, make it bold and change its colour to grey. Go to Arrange menu and click on Convert to Curves. Switch to Shape tool and select all nodes. Click on the Convert to Curve icon. This way we've created all line segments to curves. Select the letter T top nodes and move them up. Select these two nodes and move them to the right side. Select the nodes on the other side and move them to the left. Our aim is to work on the shape of this until it will look like the original logo. We need to experiment with various techniques and node types to make our figure as good as possible. Make the figure resemble the original logo. By making this logo, we'll practice the usage of all these techniques and how to use each type of node. So, just experiment and get used to this type of work. Move the nodes, move the line segments, change the nodes types, add and delete nodes. Of course, we can always try to make the T figure symmetrical. Continue making this figure. Select these two nodes and align them vertically. So this element of the logo is almost ready. Now we'll break this figure so we can edit each letter separately. Go to Arrange menu and click on Break Curve Apart. Now each letter is a standalone figure. The only thing that's wrong is the hole in the letter A. Switch to wireframe view. As you can see, the hole is still there. Switch to normal view. Select the A letter, go to Arrange menu and click on Combine. We've separated these letters because we need to have the letter T separate. Switch to Rectangular tool and draw a rectangle. Hold Shift and click on the letter T. Now click on the Trim icon. Delete the rectangle, select the trim figure and duplicate it. To do that, press the plus key on the numeric keypad. Press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Hold Ctrl and drag the middle left transformation handle to the right. This will flip the copied figure. Select both halves of the letter T and weld them. The text is ready.